Hello, my friends. In this clip, I want to try and explain what a person experiences while on DMT through the wisdom of Kabbalah. It covers a lot of interesting topics. What is awareness altogether? What is perception of reality? What are these entities that people hear or experience their presence? There's a lot to talk about. I hope you find this as fascinating as I found it. And let's dive in. I want to give a brief introduction. So if somebody wants to jump right to it, just fast forward. I'll put some tags on the bottom. But in order to understand what Kabbalah has to say about our perception of reality while we experience these things, so let's backtrack and first of all explain what the wisdom of Kabbalah is briefly. The internet is filled with so many people preparing content. They're all amazing, most of the people with good intentions, but about the wisdom of Kabbalah, there are a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of hacks. In Hebrew, there's a lot of great teachers and schools for it. In English, I actually found one place that's actually legit, that teach it correctly. I'll search for that link and put it below. But let's try and clear things up. First of all, let's start from the most complicated part. The all-time classic dispute. Does God exist or not? So the wisdom of Kabbalah says this: God is nature. The exact same thing. What does that mean? If we observe nature, there's this one energy source that keeps creating and creating and creating. This energy source is holding our atoms together, making them spin, helping me talk, my brain, all the electrons moving there inside. The infinite energy or power in nature is what's creating everything. So because that's the action that it's doing, let's just call it the creator. So this force that's creating, or this creator, exists. Whether it exists or not, that's not even the right argument. You can argue or dispute if this energy has thought, if it has a plan, if it has awareness. That's all legit to discuss. But this force that is creating us exists. To be more precise, the wisdom of Kabbalah says the creator, if we observe nature, this quality that is creating everything, they call it the quality of bestowal, because this force of nature just gives and gives and gives. It never asks for anything in return. It never takes a lunch break. It's always there creating. So the creator in the wisdom of Kabbalah is the quality of bestowal. The quality is creating. That's why it's called the quality of bestowal. The creator isn't this grandfather sitting on some cloud somewhere with a beard and a magic staff. It is a quality in nature. You can observe it everywhere. And creation is also a quality. It is the quality of reception. Or in the wisdom of Kabbalah, the quality of bestowal is also called the light. And the quality of reception is called the vessel. Now, throughout history, what we've been doing, or scientists, is we observe nature and we start researching it. If we understand nature, we understand the laws that nature dictates upon us, and we learn how to balance ourselves with them, we feel nature is good. For instance, gravity. If I understand that law, the way it works on me, the way it dictates my life, and I learn how to be in balance with gravity, I'll feel it as good. I can slide down a sliding board or swing on a swing. If I don't understand gravity and I'm not in balance with it, I can fall off a cliff and feel it as bad. Same thing with electricity. It's a force in nature. If I research it and learn how to be in balance with it, I'll feel it is good. I can work my lights in here. I can film myself on the camera with electricity. If I stick my finger in the socket or go swimming in a thunderstorm, I'll feel it is bad. Now, the wisdom of Kabbalah said, except for these things that I see in my senses, there's also a concealed reality. What's inside? My feelings, my desires, my thought, they are also part of nature. And if I research them and understand how to bring them into balance with this nature, with this creator around me, I'll feel everything is good. Meaning I have to bring my inner self, my inner soul, my inner heart and soul into balance and harmony with nature, the nature that's around me. Then I'll start feeling it as something good. A Kabbalist is a person who learns how to bring his inner self in harmony and balance with nature. And by doing that, he starts perceiving extra layers and thoughts of this reality. Now, Kabbalists give us an example for this. They say that we are like this closed box, and we have 5 openings. Our 5 senses. What's outside of the box? We don't know. We have no idea. Why? Because something outside of the box is working on my 5 senses, evoking them, causing all kinds of phenomena to happen as a result of coming in contact with my 5 senses. And inside my head, inside my brain, all this information is accumulated into a processor, and this gives me a plot, a picture that I call reality. But what's really outside the box, I have no idea. I'm calibrated. Actually, what I see on the outside is according to what I have on the inside. Kabbalists say, outside of me, there is infinite, unconditional, loving light, where everything is one. And what I see in this reality is what I am internally imbalanced with, what I'm in tuned with. I'm actually seeing my qualities projected on this light. Now, around me right now, there's a bunch of radio waves. A lot of radio stations broadcasting, but I can't hear them. If I have a little instrument and I calibrate it to perceive these waves, I'll start hearing the music. Same thing with this box. If I calibrate my inner self, called intention, my inner intention, I calibrate it. The wisdom of Kabbalah teaches me how to do it. I calibrate it, I bring it into inner balance with the light outside me. New pictures, new perceptions of reality start to open up inside me. That is called spiritual attainment or enlightenment. That is what the wisdom of Kabbalah teaches how to do. And once a person reaches the first degree of balance with nature, he is called a Kabbalist. A Kabbalist is a person that from his inner balance, his inner harmony with nature, can see nature's plan, and he can see nature's thought. They also give us guiding questions. If everything we see is a result of nature's force working, right? The creator is working, it's creating, and we are creation. We are the results of this creation. So if he's the cause and we are the consequence, how could it be that there is something in the result that wasn't in the initial cause? How could Picasso's painting be smarter than Picasso? That's food for thought. Another question they give us is, for instance, we see in nature, if we look at different places in nature, there are plans. There's a plan when the seed enters the womb and meets the egg, and the embryo develops. There's a whole plan of that development. And also, if you plant an orange seed in the ground, there's a whole plan that makes it grow a tree and gives me an orange at the end. So if nature is full of little plans, could it be that there's a whole bigger plan for everything? And not only everything, in each individual soul, maybe there's a plan in there? Or also modern science also proves it today that everything, all of creation is one. It's this big vibrating energy. So if there's awareness here and awareness there and awareness there, that means that in that one, there is something called awareness. So right now it seems shattered in a bunch of different places, but could it be that there is one big awareness? So the questions to all of those are obviously yes. And before we start explaining this whole plan, that the first basic rule, the first basic law of reality is called the advantage of light through the darkness. What does that mean? It means that in order for me to be aware of anything in reality, I have to have 2 points of comparison. For instance, if I was born somewhere that from day to night, it's always 40 degrees Celsius, I wouldn't know it's hot. I wouldn't even have that word hot. I don't know what temperature is because I've never experienced anything but that. But once I take a trip to the North Pole and I experience what 0 degrees Celsius is, now I have a whole new plane, a whole new dimension of comparison, which I can now call temperature, because I've seen 2 points in it. Why is this important to know? For this, let's start talking about what a Kabbalist discovers when he starts attaining this spiritual reality. And again, it's here right now around us. We're just not calibrated to it. First of all, they say that the light, or the quality of bestowal, or the Creator, created a vessel, one soul. And when you look into that soul, just like the human body has a lot of cells inside, the soul has a lot of points that are called roots of souls, or parts of the souls. Again, in Hebrew, this all makes much more sense with the terminology. And all those souls, just like cells in a body, are interconnected between them in connections of bestowal, of unconditional love and harmony between each other, just like cells in a healthy body that are giving to one another, all working for the purpose of the whole. This is the state that was created to begin with. It's called infinite light and harmony. It's called actually the world of infinity, if I translate it from Hebrew. But if this is the only state that was created, the created being, that one soul cannot be aware of it because it never experienced the opposite. You remember, advantage of light through the darkness. So now how can the Creator bring awareness to this state? How can it awaken this soul to get awareness? So part of the plan of creation is that the Creator inserted into this perfect whole soul a force of separation to make these pieces feel separate from each other. It is called the evil inclination, or the ego. It causes every soul to feel detached of the whole and to see itself as disconnected, as individual and a private being in creation. This process was called the concealment or the shattering. It made every individual soul, the ego started developing and developing and developing, detaching it from the perception of reality of that one wholeness spiritual being into a sensation or a perception of this world. The corporeal reality we see before us. We have to be disconnected from spirituality and see ourselves in this reality. Why? That from this lowest point where we feel completely separated with meaningless and all of the spiritual creation and love concealed, from this reality we have to start developing ourselves back to the one whole, back to our place in the one whole soul. That's called the correction that we're going through. The wisdom of Kabbalah teaches how to correct our perception of reality, how to correct our intention, how to correct our soul, and also become emanators or channels of light, to let the light pass through us. When we start climbing these degrees, which is what the wisdom of Kabbalah teaches a person how to do, you start perceiving the original spiritual reality while you are alive in your body. You don't have to die for this or anything. So again, to recap, nature has a plan to help the ego grow in us. It is gradually detaching us from a perception of a spiritual reality and gradually formulating this disconnected corporeal reality in our perception. And we have to redevelop our perception to come back to spirituality. Now, so the point of this clip, what does DMT or ayahuasca or different mind-altering substances do? By taking them, where they're kind of a sort of poison, we're actually sabotaging in somewhat our brain, and we're actually perceiving previous degrees we came from. We are not going forward with the plan of creation, we're actually getting a peek to where we came from. That's why the sensation on these substances is never really stable. You can never really grasp it or come back with any true answers. It's kind of like a flash of light. It's a peak before you come back to the actual state that nature put you in. So what you're actually doing by this is getting some kind of impression of what spirituality is. It's like taking a baby and lifting him to take a peek of what's behind the fence. But you're not actually standing on your 2 feet and learning how to walk the way nature or the creator, according to his plan, wants to develop you. So is it a bad thing? I guess if it helps a person bring faith back into their heart or overcome a trauma and see proof how everything outside of the ego is really wonderful and gives you a new beginning in life, I think it's great. But to overdo it, you can read it yourself online. It can start harming your brain and cause irreversible damage. So I actually recommend going through the path of light. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll try to make more clips about this. Stay in touch. Peace and love.